The sound of paper tearing is sharper than it should be, like skin, like something alive being ripped open. I didn't realize I was holding my breath until the last piece fluttered to the floor like a wounded bird. My wife's father stood over me, chest swelling, eyes locked on mine with that familiar contempt. "Real men work," he said, voice dripping the kind of righteousness that only cowards cling to, "not live off handouts." My wife didn't blink, didn't speak, didn't even look at me. She just stood beside him, like my silence somehow embarrassed her. The pieces of my disability check lay scattered at my feet, each fragment a reminder of the life I'd been forced into, the body that no longer obeyed me, the identity I'd been suffocating under. I didn't reach for them, I just watched the paper fall. Then the clearing of a throat cut through the room, soft, polite, deadly. The postman was still at the door. He stepped forward, his uniform suddenly carrying the weight of an executioner's robe. "That's a federal crime," he said quietly. The room froze around me. But inside, something thawed, slowly, quietly, dangerously. A part of me I thought had died, woke up, and it watched everything. The accusation hung in the air, but neither of them reacted. Not really. My wife's father stepped back, muttering something about overreactions and jokes, but I saw the flicker in his eyes, fear masquerading as indignation. My wife didn't speak until he left the room. "You didn't have to make a scene," she whispered. "I made a scene?" My pulse steadied, not out of calm, but out of calculation. Her voice was too soft, too rehearsed, and in that softness something else stirred. Guilt, maybe, or the shadow of something deeper, something she'd been burying under practiced indifference. Then her phone buzzed, and she flinched. Barely, but enough. She turned it over too quickly, screen down. A small detail, but details have weight when the world around you starts cracking. "Just my coworker," she said. I hadn't asked. The room shifted, not visibly, but inside me, like an invisible wall slid into place. I watched her eyes dart toward the hallway where her father had disappeared, and something clicked with a sickening precision. This wasn't about the check, or pride, or the cheap cruelty of a man who needed to feel dominant. This was about control. Hers, his, theirs. And the quiet agreement between them that I was easiest to manage when I was broken. But something had changed. They just didn't know it yet. That night I studied her the way a surgeon studies an incision line, calmly, clinically, methodically. Every word she said felt too measured, every smile too shallow, every moment of silence too heavy. When she showered, I checked her phone. Not because I was suspicious, but because the world had given me permission to open my eyes. Messages, late-night ones, unsaved number. A tone of familiarity threaded between them that no coworker had reason to own. I didn't explode, didn't confront, didn't even breathe differently. Instead, I documented, copied, forwarded, saved. I checked call logs next, then bank statements, then the subtle shifts in her routine I had ignored for months. Early mornings, late nights, sudden mandatory meetings. In the silence of our bedroom, with her sleeping a few feet away, I pieced together a truth she thought I was too medicated, too injured, too defeated to ever notice. And as the picture sharpened, so did I. By morning, I knew everything I needed to know. Not her secrets, but how quietly I would unravel them. Later, a printout delivered to my email by a friend who owed me a favor. Phone records, financial transfers, hotel receipts. A timeline of betrayal rendered in cold ink. I printed it, stapled it, folded it once, laid it on the kitchen table. She walked in, hair still wet, smelling of a shampoo she used only after staying somewhere else. "What's this?" she asked. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. She opened it, Her breath stuttered, catching in her throat like a swallowed blade. Her face drained. Her hands trembled. You misunderstood." "No," I said. "Just one word. Calm, surgical, final." She broke before she fell silent. I didn't yell, didn't accuse, didn't demand apologies she wasn't capable of giving. Instead, I slid a second envelope across the table, the one from the postman's statement and the federal complaint form. Her eyes widened. You wouldn't." I held her gaze until the truth settled into her bones. I already did. The collapse was quiet, beautifully quiet. Her father's arrogance, her silence, her betrayal, all of it folded into a single moment where she finally understood. I was never powerless, just patient. I packed slowly, deliberately, not as a man running, but as a man done. She watched, shattered and speechless, as I carried the last box out the door. No goodbye, no anger, no hesitation, just clarity. Some truths aren't meant to heal. Some are meant to free. And as I stepped into the cold air, leaving her and her father to face the consequences they'd earned, a final thought settled in my mind, quiet, brutal, undeniable. They only learned my worth when they lost the right to underestimate me.